Hey friends, welcome to Stacking Pennies. LaJoie here alongside my buddy Ryan Flores, breaking down all things Michigan. Top 5 in my truck race. We had a shot to win. We didn't quite close the deal. We're going to break that down right off the top of the show. We are joined by a dog on pit road for a real quick interview as well. A lot of things today. Buckle up. It's going to be a wild show. Welcome to Stacking Pennies.
Stacking them deep, selling them cheap.
It tastes like gasoline, rubber, and victory.
We're just out here stacking pennies.
Hey friends, welcome to Stacking Pennies. LaJoie here alongside Ryan Flores. Great weekend in Michigan.
Race car driver LaJoie.
Yeah. Swapped the old TV microphone for a helmet this week, and it was fun getting back in Truck Series. Didn't really know what to expect. With that 07 group, especially when seeing Kyle Busch run like 16th in that thing last couple weeks, I was like, oh boy, I need to pull the belts tight and get after it a little bit.
Michigan's a place too where it's just about raw speed.
It's like qualifying at Daytona. So get in there, first run, we had a flat tire on the front straightaway. The quarter panel rubbed the hole in the tire, went down to turn 1 at 190. Oh yeah. All the way up.
Holy shit. Dude, I didn't know that.
Whoa, yeah. I was like me and Lane Riggs doing a couple of these, feeling it out.
The right rear quarter panel?
Yeah.
See, that's the thing with those trucks is
because they're so
close.
Tight. Yeah. Just like right before you rip it off the fence.
We get a little bit too much, so they build the bodies, right? And then you get a little bit too much truck arm standoff, and
right.
Rear moves a little bit too much, and next thing you know, you're about buried in the fence.
Yeah. That would have been like my luck. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Welcome back. Here you go. Right, we're down. Back this thing in the
Twitter.
fence. Yeah. So
LaJoie sucks.
Well, they're gonna say that no matter what. I could have won, and they're still gonna say
no.
that.
We talked about this. Since you've been doing TV, it's the pendulum's starting to swing the other way.
Yeah.
Where people are not as brutal, and they really appreciate what your, just your thoughts and process of the race and what you kind of talk about, your insight.
Yeah.
But the minute you become a competitor again, we talked about this last week. We had a birthday party for your son, for your youngest Pierce. Shout out 1 year. You got a 1-year-old now. No more babies.
Nope.
They're all
5-3-1.
5-3-1. But you're like, I'm going to lean into it and be a villain.
Yeah.
And Sean texts the group chat. He's like, did you guys see Corey's media availability? And I'm like, oh, no, I think Higgy's got it.
So hang on. Before we roll that. So I've had a month to think about what this analogy is like, right? Because people are asking, what's the feeling like? I said, I don't know. It's like kind of like a mix of a couple weird things, because you go into the shop a couple times, sit in the seat, you see so many familiar faces, a lot of which I was, on the street going to get these guys to come over here a couple years ago. So to see, the list of guys over there that I love within the garage, is long, right?
Yeah.
Peter Suspenzo, Dan Brzezowski, both guys working on the 77 Cup car. There's I can go on for an hour of all the names that are over there to see those guys. They'd come over to the truck plate and we'd talk a little bit. That list is way longer than the guys that I could care less to see when I go back in there. So it's cool to see that. It's cool to see the support there. But there's this weird little thing, right? You get fired. They're paying you to still be around. And then they ask you to come back. So play the analogy.
It's been, a lot of emotions going back in there. Can I give you my analogy?
Pause
Leanne's
it.
Probably.
What Leanne's face looked like.
Oh my God. She looked at me like, what the hell is about to come out of your mouth? Because she had no clue about this.
Poor Leanne.
Her hand over her face. Here's my analogy. It's like when, you work building a house for 5 years. And then, your wife becomes TikTok star and says she's not happy anymore. She kicks you out. And then she calls you back a year later, and you have to go live in the guest room, and she's there with a new boyfriend. That's how this thing goes. So
did love the tweet of the put this video in here, Higgy. The tweet that guy put up, he said, "This is what LaJoie thinks of the Truck Series, and it's the lawnmower race." Yeah. And you're like, I sent it to you, and then I see you tweet it. Where is it? And Dale Jr.'s like, "Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, let's make a trip." Yeah, some guy was.
That place was sick.
That's what that's what I. Oh man,
boy.
we'll talk about that broken frame in a second. But that's what I wish didn't come across like it did, was just like the negativity overall in the series. Just at the time, and we don't need to go touching on it again, but it was just fun to drive those things. It was fun to work. I like how the Truck Series you can still work to build a better mousetrap. You got different body builds. You got a lot of different variations of underfloor design. You have, you got coil bind springs. You got bump springs in the front. Like, they are what kind of the technology of the Gen 4 or 5 Cup cars. So there's some still juice to work on mechanically. And I miss just in the lounge talking about your car, looking at data. Okay, how can we get better? Okay, what do I need to do better? That was a blast for me.
That's what they said on the broadcast, that you were just happy to be back in the trenches. And I can feel that. I think that's one of the reasons why I go do Bowman Gray or do the stuff we do, because it's so much fun. And I think especially when you're driver Cup Series or anywhere, you just get this overall feeling that even if you're not winning, if you're making just
progress,
positive yardage, right?
Yeah.
Just forward progress. And when you do that, man, you get it. Like, it's addicting, because you're making a difference. And then even if the whole world doesn't see that you're making a difference, you're making a difference. You're moving stuff in the right direction.
Stacking pennies.
That's it. That's what it's all about.
So we didn't have very good pace all weekend. We qualified 24th, and I was like, oh boy, starting next to Malcolm in the middle here.
You're
kind of deep in traffic. But we went forward. We drove to, 17th, 18th, really tight. We pulled some left rear rubbers for a stop, get a little better, chip away to like 10th. And then the entire top 10 wrecks, and I come out leading. I'm like, holy this is supposed to happen.
Buddy, that was a big miss. Let's watch that. Let's break that down.
It was wild.
I was listening to this. So I was listening and kind of going back and forth, because I had to fulfill a promise to go to Frankie's Fun Park. Shout out Frankie's to my daughter. So I'm kind of like trying to watch, but also be a good dad, but like also watch my friend race. So yeah, I saw this later. Oh,
so those cars or those trucks spin the tires pretty easily on restarts. So you have to really clean them off, drop the clutch, and do a couple burnouts. And
that's what it looks like. It looks like
just almost like what happened to me in the modified race. You just
Yeah.
get picked up when you're trying to launch, and then everybody smashes into each other. And I come out, I'm like, I'm through it, Harry. I was like, am I leading this thing? Holy cow, what a gift.
how many laps to go is that?
8 maybe.
Oh yeah.
Yep, 7.
So I turned it on. I'm like,
6.
holy shit, Corey's leading.
That's what I said too.
I went from Cava to drop my wife off,
Yeah.
to drop my kids off. I watched the second green white checker, and then they wrecked so bad that I was like, I can make it home. And I made it home in time. Like,
So
that's how long the last 2 laps took to finish.
First green white checkered. We had it. We had one. We dropped the green. Got a good push from the 19.
NASCAR.
You were like
overtime.
400
Green
yards
flag
away.
is in the
Yeah.
air.
I was listening to this. What happened to his push?
So
Jeez.
far, a better restart. They do it.
Frankie Muniz restarted in the wrong gear.
Corey LaJoie
Okay.
hangs on to the lead.
Frankie did not get
I thought here, I was like, okay, if there's one person I want lined up behind Corey, it's Daniel Suarez.
Oh,
Or it's
man.
Daniel Hemrick, my
Left
bad.
front goes down for
Damn
Hemrick.
it.
He hits the
And they
outside
threw the
wall.
caution.
Put it out.
We're gonna do
If
it
you
Yeah.
didn't listen to the podcast, we've been a little bit critical on the guys calling the race, and they said, "Oh,
Yeah,
you
here
don't
you
like
go.
when we do the
Put it
cautions?
out.
Pow!"
Yeah, put it
There
out.
you go.
So right here, next one.
Here we go.
So the 9's on tires. He had a good truck all day, Grant.
He'd probably.
So I'm
best
looking in the
truck,
mirror,
right?
up, down, up, down. Okay, looking. Outside lane's tight, and I block him to the top a little bit here, and then he gets to my inside.
2
And
laps to go.
The one rule is you don't give me a right.
right, that you don't want to give me a right here, and I couldn't quite. I didn't. And right here, I get tight, couldn't
This is the squeeze
really do
play we
anything, and then
talked
caution
about.
comes out, I believe.
Mm.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Caution comes out again.
Would you gonna have a run on him?
Yeah, I was gonna do a big slider and just see what came out of it. Holy cow, they were smashing into each other.
I really reckon.
Okay, so re-rack it. Now the big decision is this. All right, you don't have the lane choice. The last 3 restarts, the guy in the second on the outside prevailed. And pause it. And we had a conversation. We have talked about it on here. Winners take the front row. I even said that on the radio.
Winners take the front row always.
And because it's clean air, you can obviously have more advantage. Nobody's in front of you.
Here's
All
how
the
I
things.
explained it to Carissa, because she asked me about it. Because I was I didn't text. I didn't say anything because I was like, damn it.
No, I texted you.
I know. I put my phone on charge and I go take a shower, get ready to go out, and I come back to my phone and you texted me, winners take the front row, and I was like, I wasn't gonna say it, but now that we're on that topic, so anybody that's raced short tracks or anything, they have a plan, right? When you come to restart, and it just takes one guy doing something wrong, your plan's out the window. When you're on the front row, you make your own destiny. Like I told Carissa, you're not if you restart fourth, right? You're planning on the 9 having a great launch, you pushing behind you, getting clear of the bottom lane, the bottom lane not getting a good push, and then you and the front guy are going to race it out. Well, if they just time their push right or jump it a little bit, then you're at the mercy of how they hit the corner where you're at. When you're on the front row, you can jump it, you can get that stuff, and if all else fails, you can just door them and run them up the racetrack, right? Like it depends on how bad you want to win. You could, like I told her, I said, if all else fails and you're really that desperate, you could just wreck the guy on the outside of you.
Right.
So that's where
8 tires from better than 4. So soon as we get into the zone, I realized my push is soft behind me.
As noted,
There wasn't any, and I'm like,
oh no.
and the outside lane, nobody got a good jump, and it was just even. I'm like, oh no, now I got a couple restarted heat cycles in my tires. I was already a little tight.
Either one of the leaders on the front row on that restart.
So I'm trying to get some air on the nose here.
Looks like Luke Fenhouse is going to have
And
a
I
big
just
run in
get
the 66.
plowing tight
Here comes
down
Lane
here.
Fenhouse gets to push down the back stretch. They get there a little bit tighter.
Truck behind Matt Crafton in the 88.
Oh, so you're tight, so you have to back up the corners.
Oh man.
88 gets
Is
tight
about
behind
to
you.
wave for Stuart Friesen. Didn't talk about him
dang it.
all day,
There you
and
go,
here
Stewie.
he is.
Good job. Dude, pump
Yeah.
your story. If there's anybody else that's going to win,
Stuart
Stu's had a
Friesen.
rough go at it.
Yeah.
His conversations post race have been like, I'm ready to quit and go back dirt racing
Well, I
full time.
talked to him before the race. I was like, "What's up, Stewie? How's it going?" He said, "Oh man, just riding around." I'm like, "That's it?" Yeah, not good. Not good. He's happy after
He's
this.
happy. That's it. Hey, winning,
Changes everything.
it fixes everything. It solves every problem. So,
So
good for
hey,
him.
all in all, this is the pace we had in that truck. We probably had a 14th, 15th place truck. Made it run 5th. Now I'd have a better feel for how those things race in traffic, what I need from practice to go into the race. I feel good about it.
So
I think
real
that we
quick-
can- Pit crew was pretty good, so I think we can go maybe win a couple of those.
Heck yeah.
Finish the year.
Tell me about the differences real quick of the cup car and the truck, especially in dirty air.
So the runs come quicker, but the penalty's worse if you mistime it.
In the truck or in a cup
Yeah,
car?
in the truck. So I could see why guys like Ross, even William and Larson and Hocevar, these guys go down to do it because they drive similar to a cup car in terms of like they have a lot of rear grip, and you have to be really selective with taking runs and generating runs and putting yourself in really ideal aero positions, but they're less affected, trucks are, than cup cars to the wake. So that was interesting to learn about. And you just carry a lot of throttle time, obviously, in those things because they're so draggy. But they feel like a cup car, like you're towing a 25-foot trailer on the back.
Really?
That's what they feel like.
It's funny, switching gears to the cup race, what I thought about you mid-race, because on the restarts, you would go, everybody would kind of fan out into the corner, and it would be inviting to plug the bottom.
Yeah.
And then when you get to the straightaway,
You're going
you'd be the odd man
backwards.
out. It looked like drafty car.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, it looks like drafty car. Whoever
That's really
gets the
what it
push, the lane would go and surge so much. It'd be like, shh, and then it'd come back and go back. I was like, holy crap. And that's why they were wrecking, because it was like,
Yeah.
it was just
Drafty car.
shout out drafty car.
Well, you know that if there's a lane on the bottom, you have to take it, because if you don't, the guy three rows back is going to take it. But if you don't get to, like, especially the outside lane, but if you don't get to the middle lane down the backstretch where all the help starts to tighten up, you're getting throttled down the backstretch because it's like 3/4 of a mile long. So
Yeah, you got to think a whole straightaway or a whole lap ahead of where you're
Right.
going to be almost.
It's like-
crazy.
is there an opening on the top lane that if I can go wrap the bottom wide open, can I slide up and maybe clear myself off of 2? And there's a short list of guys that are really, really good at that. Denny's one. I'm telling you, Carson, we've been talking about him a lot in the broadcast. He's exceptional at maneuvering through traffic, very good. And obviously that thing has a lot of pace and came really close to being the first Michigan driver to win at Michigan. But let's go ahead. Man, it was really cool. I spent a lot of time with Carl. Actually, funny story. So Sunday morning, anymore now, right? So we took the bus. All the kids came except for the baby. We left baby with mom and dad. And
Were the boys into the truck race before we get
they were into it.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
they were into it. So Sunday morning, kids are your alarm clock. If they wake up at 6:30, you're up at 6:30. If they sleep until 8:15, you're like,
You
yes.
ain't even got to set an alarm clock anymore.
No, that's what it is.
Yes.
So this was at 8:15 morning. So Kelly and I are kind of up just talking. And my phone starts zzz, zzz, zzz. Look at it, Dale Jr.
Mm.
Hey man, and he just asked me some stuff on Mexico travel, and he says, "Hey man, I saw you on that 9:30 Monday morning flight. Try to get in that 12:30 so we have a couple beers and hang out Sunday night." I'm like, "Okay, man, changed. Consider it done," and hung up. And Kelly's like, "You really are living your best life right now. Like you got a bromance with Carl. All you guys do is just confess your love to each other."
Yeah.
And then Dale Jr. calls you and wakes you up. I said, "Yeah, you put it like that. I'm living a dream."
Yeah.
So it's amazing.
Way better than everybody calling you on Monday telling you how bad you sucked on Sunday.
Literally 38 weeks out of the year. That was my Monday morning. Yeah, it's way different now.
I'm still living that.
Yeah, so I don't even know where I was going with that because we're sitting here looking. Oh, so we go to a little cookout that NASCAR throws every Saturday afternoon or night at they own this little house over there on the property.
Yeah, no, yeah.
All the NASCAR brass are there, and they like it when drivers hang out. And Carl's always looking for opportunities to like rub elbows with guys because he doesn't really know this crop of drivers. So he had like 8 people were there with him this weekend. So I'm, hey man, let's go over to this cookout. So it was like Tyler Reddick, Chase Briscoe, Brad, Joey popped by for a minute. So it was cool just to like spend some time away from the garage with these guys, and we spent some time with Chase. And on the pole 3 weeks in a row, he's talking about just him and that group really do well on Saturdays. They need to figure out how it translates to Sundays, and somehow they got buried in traffic.
Had a jack problem we'll get to in Boats and Woes.
Okay, and they just continue again, have a great Saturday, can't back it up on Sunday. Then he ends up getting spun out with this wreck. I don't know which one this is here. Higgy, let's roll the
right
tape.
Here, the 42, John Hunter Nemechek up the racetrack. In the
Tank
middle
slapper.
groove.
John
He's just
Hunter.
gonna get really, really
Okay,
loose.
he was already a little bit
Slap,
loose.
Little
He
snap
was already
right there, and then the back comes around.
Man.
And below him,
Dang.
the door, right there, Noah Gregson just
He almost
loses his
had
car, trying to avoid.
chasing.
Luckily, the rest of the field gets by unscathed.
Pop.
Second week in a row for Noah. He was on a trend to maybe get
Because as you mentioned,
close
a
to the
couple guys
cutoff
moving
line, and
speed and talking
now
about
it's just
coming
a couple
by.
steps backwards.
Man, we're on board with the 42 getting the one here. 202. Oh, man, that thing. There's a little bit of right rear chatter, and she's gone, boys.
They look more and more like Indy cars every day, don't they?
Yeah. And he wasn't even really in a bad aero spot. That was just that thing snapped on you. And you come off 2 and you lose banking, and that rear starts to get a little light, and if you got a little too much wheel to it, it goes. So the 19 did probably choke off some diffuser pressure. Probably didn't help that 42, how much that he closed the gap on him there, especially as light as he was. And then that was all she wrote. And then when you spin out, like when you're Noah here, you spin out, you blow some tires, it grinds off all your diffuser strakes, so it's probably knocking hundreds of counts downforce off. Then you're just like, I can't drive this thing at all. And you're riding around the rest of the day. What else we got keyed up here?
Dude, this next wreck, the 48,
Oh my
large
God.
wreck.
Dude, we were watching it in the bus, and I was like, I haven't seen one chunk it like that since probably Cody Ware at Texas, like year 1 of the next gen car.
He goes
Huge
through,
wreck.
But the 2 makes contact with the 41 Custer.
We fired that clip up when Denny just joined us post race, and he seen it for the first time, and he was like, his jaw was like, holy moly.
I think you said it best when I heard you on the broadcast. You said that's a 3,800-pound car,
Getting a foot off the
like
ground,
with the rear wheels completely off the ground.
dude.
Ooh,
That
but
is a chunk.
all I think about with stuff like that is how far we've come, just in technology and safety. Just these cars, the walls.
Oh, riding along with him here. And you're going so slow because these guys are in front of you slapping around, and next thing you know, your 41's on your lap. Ow. And Alex, admittedly, has had some really large crashes, and that was the top of the list for him. I'll tell you,
It's
from experience,
not your fault.
rarely is it ever your fault, usually the hardest ones are when all you see is a little puff of smoke and then pow. Oh damn, that hurt real bad. The force that your body feels whenever you chunk it into the fence like that, head on in particular, your body's going down and forward, and it feels like where the substraps are grabbing you, like on your pelvis, it feels like the Rock gets a running start and punch you in the gonads. Yeah. That's what it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recommend it, and I hope Alex is feeling okay today. Large shunt for him in that 48. Man, they're shunting some points too. They are above the cut line, going backwards. Hopefully, they can stop the bleeding.
Yeah, it's tough, man. But it was Chicago. You know, we're going to some road courses in Chicago last year that changed the whole trajectory of his career, his year, but definitely his career. There was a lot of talks about where he was going to end up, and winning that race was big for him. Another video keyed up here, the 12 up in the weeds. He just was up in the weeds trying to get a little too much, and I saw the 45 was happen. He didn't hit the fence, but he did it later in the day as well. Just you get up in the gray. It's a combination of dirty track, but also like the car just gets light once you lose just some front tire attachment, and then you just are up in no man's land, and it just like literally 4 tires slides into the fence. Yeah,
I took those guys out of contention. I'm here right along with it. Great video cuts here today from Hickey. Appreciate that. Picks up the gas, trying to throttle it up. That was weird, actually.
I felt like he had a flat.
That thing took a weird, little bit of a swap there.
I don't know.
You know, and I think he initially said, I think he got a flat or soft or something, but
it was up when he was spinning. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The team came back as they always do. Yeah, we didn't see nothing wrong.
Everything's fine on our.
Everything's fine on our, and you just busted your ass. And then you feel like this big in the car. That thing. I mean, hard to say what the balance of that thing was because as stiff and low as these things are, it takes one little wiggle. And when you're in the middle of the corner and you're loading the car and then you're loading the sidewall of the tire, the more you squeeze it, the more it's making grip. But as soon as it chatters and it relaxes the sidewall, they don't grip back up because they're making the most amount of grip flexed. And once they chatter, the rear particularly, it stands the sidewalls up, and then it's like making no more grip, and it's over.
Sidewalls are stiff again, yeah.
Yeah, the sidewalls are straight up and down, and you can't get the tires back in the ground.
But with a truck and Xfinity car, the sidewalls are bigger, right? They're not a low profile tire. They move around more. It's just like having a softer spring to a stiffer spring. Essentially, the tire is just a spring.
Exactly. And it's a much stiffer spring on this Cup car than it is on Xfinity or trucks.
2 more tires that lost all their spring rate were the 34. He got a flat and crashed.
Big chunk out of this one here.
Oh, yep. And then the 77, man. I have crested the hill, and I have changed my tune from where I was beginning of the year.
Riding along with Todd Gillen here.
The old, funny story about Todd.
Dude.
Before we move on, a couple of my guys on the pit
makes
crew,
my stomach hurt.
A couple of my pit crew guys went to dinner with him.
Did he get a Shirley Temple?
Got a Cosmopolitan.
No.
And he asked if he could get the Cosmopolitan. Can you bring a glass of ice too? Because he didn't want to have it. And
in an up glass?
And shout out Chris Webb, my gas man.
Because
he said he stopped the waitress and was like, "You bring that in the glass that comes in and nothing else." It brought like martini glass. And I said, funny story.
I got to bring that back up. I've said it here before. I'm going to say it again. We are Steak 48, the wife and I. Year ago, maybe more. And Kelly was like, I think that's Todd. Like, several tables behind us, kind of like through the crowd. So I'm like looking, I'm like, yeah, that's him. His back was towards us. And the joke is like when there's like, you consider somebody like a little kid, you send them a Shirley Temple.
Yeah.
So I was like, send him a man over there. See the tall guy over there? Send him a Shirley Temple. And he's like, hey, he comes up to us, like, he comes to say, hey, he goes, how'd you know that I love Shirley Temples?
While he was drinking a lemon drop martini. Hey, Todd Gillen loves fruity drinks. Did you see him out? I do not.
Yes, you do.
I do not.
The girliest beer with whatever fruit
I just like light
emojis
beer.
on the front, you're like, yes.
I just like light beer.
Where's the umbrella in this thing, too?
It's just because you think you're a hard ass because you drink whiskey neat. You ain't fooling nobody.
No, I ain't drinking no Cosmopolitans.
Me either.
And I don't know. Good Shirley
I won't
Temple's
let you-
delicious.
I
I'm
won't-
not going to be seen in public ever drinking one.
Yeah, but once
But
you
damn,
look at,
they are delicious.
We're also to the phase in our life where we're like, ooh, red dye, bad. And that's all it is. It's just red syrup.
A little grenadine never killed anybody. All right, let's move on.
I'll tell you what, though. I was saying this earlier. I've crested the hill, and I believe that I am becoming a Carson Hosfar fan.
I'll tell you who
Because-
else is. A lot of fans. A lot of 77 merch popping around the old garage, too.
I like what when I watch the. I like, dude, this team is doing so good.
Yeah, they are.
I have realized, being on a non-key partner team these last couple weeks, how hard the road crew guys and the crew chief and everybody has to work. When the pit crews aren't in-house, it's very challenging. It's way more challenging than being on a key partner team, a Penske, a Hendrick, a Gibbs, to get all the pieces together. And what Luke Lambert is doing there with Carson, it can't be overshadowed. Just the way the whole team is operating, putting yourself in contention for wins. Yes, Carson's doing a great job driving the car, but the whole team is keeping them there.
Well, they're
Fast
giving
race cars, pit crew, everything's going right.
I believe they gained seven spots in one stop.
Well,
Pit crews
yesterday's
Yeah.
a weird one with
Guys
fuel.
waiting on fuel, getting all that. He was
Yeah.
lean all day. Luke was. Just give me track position, which I love that. Give me the front row. Give me some sniff.
Hey,
of clean
give me
air.
track position. We'll figure out fuel later.
That's right.
Because you get track position, and maybe get a caution, maybe get
Yeah.
this, so you can save.
Yeah.
You're not going to bleed as far,
Right.
unless you run out like 24 did. But they waited on fuel their last stop too, so it's so confusing. But I will say one thing I thought was interesting was Dale Jr. in the post race. You guys were talking, and they asked about Carson, and he said, "Well, I got to ask the serious question: does he care what people think?" Right? They were talking about his conversation with Ricky Stenhouse and how everybody, texted Ricky and said they wanted, "Hey, you should have punched him in the face. Should have done what you did to Kyle." And I don't know that Carson does care. And I like that.
Not
And-
even like a little bit.
And Dale said, there's only been a few people in the history of our sport that come in with this brashness and don't care. And I like it. I appreciate it. And
There's a way that he is always on the attack, that even if you wanted to put him in a bad spot, you can't get there because he's always taking offensive leverage.
Mhm.
It's like you can go chase him in the corner, but if there's a game of who's going to lift first, it's not going to be him, because he's never going to let you attach to his quarter. Do you have the clip of maybe not of when the 5 and the 77 were racing for the lead there? Like that is so the 5. I'm not going to change my opinion on this. The most well-rounded, fast race car drivers in the world right now. Can jump into anything. And
Also
drive it to
puts people in terrible spots. Ran Ty Dillon right in the fence yesterday.
Yep. He makes a living out of putting guys in the fence, or not
He
putting
does
guys
it
in bad
way
spots.
more eloquently
Yeah, sure.
than most people.
Right. And also, when you inherently are used to racing with nobody in front of you, like Kyle is, and you're back there in 29th, like you never have to race ties. So you're like, what the hell is this guy hanging on my quarter? Yeah, I'm done with you. So I say all that. Like when those guys are racing on the backstretch, I'm watching this intently. Like what? Like who's going to balk? And the 5 was clear, didn't take it. And the 77 throttled back to his right quarter. I'm like, oh, that was sick. So as many people that don't like how aggressive he is on the racetrack, he might have put this guy in a bad spot, that guy in the right spot. Like, you need to work to put that guy in a bad spot because he's always going to be taking offensive leverage all the time.
Can I ask a dumb question?
Yeah.
When does Rick Hendrick try to steal him?
Last week.
Like honestly, he's at Spire. He's doing a great job. Great for Spire, but like he's so fast that someone's gonna be like, I need him in my car.
Yeah.
Like key partner teams are gonna say that as well.
And if you wanted to like be hypercritical of the maturation, something that blew my freaking mind this week when I heard it is he's younger than Corey Haim.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's like football players, right? When one stays in college a couple of years longer and one comes right out.
Right. It's like he's going to have 75 races worth of Cup experience over Corey Haim, and he's younger than him.
Yeah, I
and
wonder.
it like fans on social media, right? He leans into the Twitch stream. He's leaning all to the stuff. He's got the Dale truck. He's leaning into the affirmation of the fans on social, which is valuable to partners. All the things. I mean,
stock's high right now.
Stock's
I wonder
high.
how Dickerson and them. I wonder if they. I'm sure they have.
Now it's also back to the the strength of Spire and the cars they're bringing. Like there's an open notebook there. Like talking about they are as much of a key partner as you could be. I mean they see what the 5's running. They see what the 24's
here's
running.
The thing. There is a history of teams being. I'd say Trackhouse is one that I think about with Ross.
Yeah.
Of teams being close with Hendrick, sharing a lot of notes. Ross gets a little too aggressive, and kind of gets pulled away.
Yep.
Right. So, or they start running better, and it's like, nah, I don't like that. All right, we're gonna pull that away.
Yeah.
But I do wonder, like what I was saying before, is like Dickerson, they've got to be in front of that. I don't know what his contract situation looks like, but I would, if I was his agent or somebody, I'd be like, hey, this kid's stock's pretty high. Where are we gonna go? What are we gonna do?
Carson Hocevar is at the Racing Bulls right now, waiting in the wings for Team Red Bull.
Yeah,
that's where he's at.
That's what I think.
That's what
too.
Spire is.
I would agree. With that.
there was, and I was right in the thick of it. Right, there was reasons as to why Justin Haley went to the 7, because there was a crosshair on him to potentially get that look.
Yeah,
and the 7 versus 77 this year isn't even remotely comparable.
No. Neither Spire cars. I mean, the 71's gaps bridged a little bit better.
Yeah.
But the 77 has a ton of speed. So, race for the win was killer.
Dude, it really was. And, we hear a lot about the inability to manipulate the lead car with this because comparatively to the Xfinity Series, the second car can manipulate the leader if they get close enough, getting close to the left rear quarter, taking some downforce away. This is one of the few times, and
down the back straightaway.
It was really interesting to hear Denny on the post-race show break down this, and as he's stalking him, he talked about, he's like, this is cat and mouse game because I was trying to give him different looks. I'm up here running the top, car's really edgy. Okay, I'm going to go to the top and maybe bait him and say, I'm going to go be consistent, run the top 2-3 times in a row. The only way you can generate that run that the 11 got was run the top in 3 and 4 to try to get some position and some momentum at 1. So he does this a couple times and goes to the outside, baiting them in. And I believe this might be the lap here where he really stuffs it under the bottom and changes the pressure of the 24. Had been going to the top all run, and just enough there to manipulate him.
I like that, man. That was like old school racing right there, pack the air underneath them.
So it's like, okay, you still haven't made the pass. The 24 grabs him. They're even. He grabs him again. Here we go.
Perfect side draft right there.
Take it. Got it. Man, great racing. Really cool.
Denny also knew they were all tight on fuel, but for some reason the 24 was the tightest. I don't know if the Chevys were just burning more fuel than the Toyotas and the Fords. But when I watched back, I thought, I keep going back to broadcast, the tax, right? Let's talk about the tax. So you pay it somewhere.
You got to pay the tax to get more fuel in the tank relative to the competition.
Because the tanks are bigger than they were with the old cars, and the stops are faster.
Yep.
So you pay the price more when you wait. So you're just and with this, with a lap, what's a lap? A quarter gallon of fuel. Maybe.
Well, it's 2 miles, and you get 4.5, so almost a half gallon, a little bit less.
A lap. So that's not a lot. It's a half gallon is a quarter second of flow time.
Okay.
Right, because it's 2 gallons a second.
Okay.
So I don't know. When I look at it, I don't understand why the 24 didn't have enough fuel when I watch back to their pit stop, but they must have not had enough in it earlier unless they just were burning more.
Yep.
I don't know what their fuel situation was, but the 11T, he said it. He said, I like the burnout segment that you stole from our show and put on the post-race because...
How the hell do I... if it's my idea in the first place, how do I steal it?
Look at Higgy.
I'm taking credit for that idea. I'm also taking credit. I don't like taking credit for things, nor do I like having my name like on things as well. Like last week when Marty Snyder, I appreciate this, but I don't necessarily. It didn't make me feel good. Like when he said my name specifically in the post-race interview with Blaney about the burnout. I'm like, man, don't mention it. This is his moment. Like, don't make it about me. We'll drink beer here in a couple minutes.
Well,
but beers are my idea.
I like that. No, I'm giving that one to Dale Jr. He is beer sponsor, Budweiser guy.
No,
I'm not giving it to you.
Beer toast.
I do like that you asked him about that, and that he was like, he lit up. He's like, oh, I did this, and then my friends were over here, and I was about out of fuel. So I didn't realize he was that tight on fuel either. Yeah. So it was cool.
He was a half lap to the good.
Yeah, which is huge. That means if you're a half lap to the good, that and the 24 is a half lap bad, that means you're doing exactly what he did. You keep the pressure on him. Keep the pressure on him, because if he gets any breathing room, gets a couple corners where he can lift a little bit earlier, and now all of a sudden he could get there. So I don't know. It was a great game of cat and mouse. It's easy. He drove from, I don't know, maybe 7th or 8th on the restart back to the front. I thought Ty Gibbs was going to win it there for a little bit, but I think he had to save a little bit of fuel.
So the post-race show got a little jumbled up because I wanted to talk about Chris Buescher. And they interviewed him, but we kind of like stuffed it in the back of the show after some Mexico talk. But right behind us was the celebration with Denny, right? It's like, sure, win 4 for him in the year, win 3.
3.
Win 3 for him in the year. But the difference between Denny being victory lane and Christopher Buescher finishing second might as well have been 40 spots, because Chris knows from last year, losing Kansas by an inch, that could be the difference of the 17 making the playoffs or not. And he was dejected. And I wish that we could have built that into the post-race show to show that, like, here's the winner, really excited, played the fuel game great. These guys played the fuel game as well. And there's always like this question in your mind when you're sitting there, is Chris Buescher, like, could we have went harder?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, did we wait too much on the front side of the run and give up too much space saving? Because us running second, great. Sure. Great points day, yada, yada. We'll have a little feel good, get on the plane. But, like, you might not make the playoffs.
Here's another thing that I just thought of that's in the weeds, but it's interesting. You're not allowed to bring any fuel into Mexico, any gas in the cars, and it's
or even food.
Usually we
water.
dump the fuel back into the excess tanks on the trucks. You're not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
So everybody was just gonna take their excess fuel they have on pit road and dump it into the cars.
Okay. And then send the cars back to Charlotte.
Send the cars back to Charlotte. I would bet that the top 10 were like, do not put anything in the fuel cell of this car. We got to get it back there and measure what's left and know exactly how much we had, how much harder we could have went. And Ty Gibbs touched on that in the post-race show. He was like, I don't even want to know. I'm sure they'll figure it out, but like right now, I don't even want to know how much fuel we had left.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be like, damn it. Could have went, then you're going to look back at us and could have went harder here, could have been there. If we didn't start saving here, we'd have closed the gap. We'd have won by 3 seconds. Damn it.
Right.
But I guarantee you there are some engineers this morning that are like, oh, thank God we saved. And some that are like, damn it. We could have won that race.
Yeah, we had another lap left.
Yeah. But
that's how
Denny Hamlin and Chris Gale figured it out.
That's how small the margins are.
Yeah.
And, like, it's interesting to see. Like, Carl just picked up on it this week, because I've been stressing in all of our production meetings, like, guys only run the engines when they have to. Like,
the gentlemen start your engines so awkward.
And also, like, the leader coming to the stage break, clean cuts right at the line. Like, these cars, these drivers and teams, there's no more riding around under caution, keeping heat in your tires. It's like, if you don't need to roll or use the motor, it's off.
Yes.
For 2 reasons. Obviously to save fuel, but 2, to keep temperature down in your motor. So that's like the evolution of the sport. It's like, okay, now your valuable commodity is fuel, because now it adds length to the pit stops. It allows you to press harder when you need to, and it allows just more flexibility with your crew chief to call strategy. So that's an interesting thing, and there's nobody better to articulate that than Letarte in the booth. The fact that he's up there explaining that to the viewers, it's like it's part of the race. It's not like, oh man, this is a fuel saving race. No, like these guys are getting track position because they are playing a different fuel game than everybody else.
Yes. Well, it's twofold. You play the fuel game, but then Brad Keselowski touched on this on Saturday. You have to be the first car on your strategy, right? So, and then whatever. Okay, you pit, you take your fuel, you do everything you're supposed to do. Well, then these restarts are so crazy because that's where you make all your hay.
Right.
And there was one where Zane passed like 10 cars on the restart. I'm like, oh, we're deep into the other pack that's on a worse strategy than us. Right. So we're in front of them. We're going to stay in front of them the rest of the day.
Yeah.
So it's that game of like playing ahead, knowing who's on what strategy. You almost need to take your rundown and like color it. Who's on what strategy?
Yeah.
I don't know how the engineers do that. I'm sure all of them do it different. But yeah, the restarts
on their telemetry, they know last lap number.
Yes.
And they also know like how much fuel time relatively that if you look at the burn bar on Prime's broadcast, you have a general number of what it is, right?
So question of the week that leaves us, is fuel mileage racing still great?
Any racing's great.
Exactly. It's all subject to...
And it's all in how I'm learning this, and I said this last week, is like, it's interesting for me to get a peek behind the curtain of like the Wizard of Oz, because the Oz is the show, right? People only see from the veil out. And if you tell people it's a good race because of X, Y, and Z, they don't know anything different. And if we're going to show great racing, there's great racing all over the place. We're going to show the racing for 17th, because these guys are slipping, sliding around. Bubba Wallace in there swatting flies, trying to get a run. If you're there, everybody's going to watch the race and be like, oh, this is great. You're listening to scanners. You can follow your guy. You can be ingrained into the race. But if you're watching a broadcast, if you have Dale Giddy up there telling you why this is freaking awesome, and you have Steve Letarte explaining to you why this game of trying to cut time on pit road to get track position is the ones that that's the difference of winning the race or not, like I believe you can make any race, any fan think any race is good if you focus on the right things.
Well, and if Chase Elliott wins, then anything is great. But fuel, let's not forget the fact that fuel mileage last year won Joey Logano the championship. At least got him in the position at Nashville
and
Vegas. But if there are drivers that understand, like you said, that cut the engine off, that do all the stuff right, it's the Joey Logano's, it's the Denny Hamlins of the world.
Yep.
Those are the guys I want when the pay window opens and they have to be fast, save fuel, get it to the end. There's a reason that these guys have 3 championships and almost 60 wins for Denny Hamlin, 3 championships for Joey Logano. So he wouldn't be there, though, if it wasn't for our dog of the week. We got to go boats and woes. Let's talk about that now.
Mm-hmm.
Le Mans is the biggest race in the world. It's a 24-hour race. It's about survival, pushing man and machine to the limit. We're going to race in NASCAR at Le Mans.
We're going to do what?
There's a stereotype that NASCAR isn't as technologically advanced as other racing series.
In 1976, Bill France took a couple of NASCARs to Le Mans.
One made only 2 laps.
Our goal was to make sure that we beat my father's record.
Mike Rockenfeller,
Jimmy Johnson,
Jensen Button.
You're not going to get bigger star power.
Hendrick Motorsports is NASCAR's most successful, most powerful team. If you were going to choose a team, this was the team you wanted to choose.
We're going to do this right. Whatever it takes, we're not going to be embarrassed.
We had to battle and fight and claw. 3, 2, 1.
You always enter a race with a strategy, but rarely do things play out as you would hope.
It's raining hard out there.
I don't have a ton of wet driving experience.
Jimmy's coming down the back straightaway. He's like, I think the car's on fire.
We might not make it back out there.
We want to show the world we were ready.
We have one shot and one opportunity to go and make this successful.
This car is so loud. The other cars are whizzing by, just pew, 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 and then...
All right, time for some pit road boats and woes. We got a dog joining us here later in this segment. Stay tuned for that. But we have a couple pretty clear ones. What do we got first up?
The 19 team is going through it right now. We're going to see them come in. I think this is the end of the first stage. It's like if anything can go wrong, it will go wrong with the 19. And that, there's a lot of times where that just happens to a team. Like we say, you can't go under it, you can't go around it, you have to go through it. And this view is pretty terrible to kind of break down where it went through. But if you watch here,
no.
So there's a couple different things that could have happened. The jack either malfunctioned, or when he put the jack under the car, I think the jack malfunctioned. But you may see this in other scenarios where they go under the car and they miss the actual jack post and you jack it up and the carbon crunches and you have to keep kind of, you're already committed. If the wheels are out, you can't let it back down.
Right.
And you just kind of keep jacking it. That one looked more like
a leak down.
These jacks are so just precise now that if they get a little bit of trash in the oil or just a little bit of air maybe in the system, it's not quite like the old jacks where they'd get air in the system if you flipped them upside down. Or like if you have a jack at your house where the oil will run out. They're a little bit different than that. They're quite a bit more advanced in their technology. But there are small
every team
problems.
Develop their own?
Mostly every team develops their own now.
I'd love to get one and talk about it.
Yeah.
Or is it big time proprietary?
It's pretty proprietary. There's been a lot of talks lately about going to a standardized jack like we went to a standardized pit gun. Just because there's so much speed. I've watched the last couple of weeks just to see what other changers do, and changers are all pretty much do the same thing. The juice is in the jackman. That's where all the speed of your stop comes from, is the jackman for sure.
If you just followed a jackman specifically on how explosive their movements have to be, it's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
What do you think the most
jackman story?
What do you think the most comparable sport position translates to being a jackman?
I'd say probably, I think linebacker, I guess, right? Because you're kind of surveying everything. You have to be exposed. You have to be on that play. Like if you look at a Luke Kuechly, right? He's everywhere all the time.
Yeah.
But he's also the most aware. You have to be the most aware because you have to know if the wheels are tight, if the fuel's in it, if the tires are on. You have a lot going on. So you're kind of the quarterback of the defense.
Interesting.
That's where I would put that. Hilarious story. Standing on the pit wall, and we just had, it's like with the 38 team, we're also kind of like the 19, where there's something fucked up that happens every week, right? And it's like you go through, it's like one thing that sets us back every week. That's nobody's fault, but everybody's fault at the same time. And right before this last set of pit stops that we were getting ready to do, we're in the opening, right at the start-finish line where Victory Lane is. Out of the opening comes running a baby squirrel. It runs out, makes a left into our pit box.
It looked like an adolescent squirrel.
It was a baby. It looked like it was almost the size of a chipmunk.
It was like
with
a
bigger.
It was like a tweenager.
It was Corey. It was under my feet.
No, I saw it.
So it run down the wall and stopped under my feet, and I was like, "This is great. I said, boys, pit it. This thing gets squashed in the pit box. We got to get the wheels on it. We'll deal with it later."
It ran under your feet.
Runs under my feet. No, the pit road's open. We're on the backstretch, right? Here it comes. Down.
Old Nutty the squirrel.
The best part is it runs under my feet, then it runs out on the pit road, and then it takes off. And on the other side of the opening is the 5 car. And it's not quite in the pit boxes, but it's in pit road, but it's probably 3 foot outside the line. And Ludwig, the jackman of the 5, is trying to shoo it off. He's like, hey, get out of here. So he's yelling at it, and we're watching them laughing at it. So then it runs to a hole in the wall or a drain in the curb.
Okay, so that's where I'll pick this up because we're up doing our stage hit. This is stage 1, right at the end of it. And we're on those openings on the roof. And your pit box is right underneath of me. I'm like, hey, Carl, hey, look at that squirrel down there. And he's behind the porta-johns. And everybody's like, oh, look at the squirrel. He's so cute. And Carl's like, this is not going to end well for him.
It's not going to be good.
There's nowhere for him to go. Then continue.
I thought they were going to be like, close it, get the squirrel off pit road. But like, nope, it's open.
The show goes on.
But he ran in the wall and thinking, okay, he's safe. Comes back out. And I was like, my message to my guys, like, boys, wherever that squirrel ends up, just pit this thing. At the end of the cycle, they go, anybody get the squirrel? And they go, yeah, the 10 car. So play the video. You see the squirrel. He's freaking out. Texted Rick James, who James Howe, call him Rick James. He is the pit coach for Colleague. I said, how bad was the damage on the squirrel? He goes, oh, man, it was sad. Because it didn't. The cars are high enough now where they don't splatter. It just got ran over. And there was not blood. There was not blood.
That makes
me
feel bad, dude. If I hit a squirrel on the road, my day's junk. My day's over with.
Well, here's gonna make it even worse. The squirrel did not die immediately. It was slow and painful. It just laid there and died slowly. So it wasn't a splatter.
Oh no.
It was more of a crunch.
Oh no, that makes me feel real sad. I told Kelly on the way to the airport. I said, honey, we saw a lot of things today, but the worst thing we saw was a squirrel.
The worst thing the 45 saw was his hopes of winning the race die when the 6 car angled in.
No. Before we run this, I was like, honey, if I run over a squirrel on pit road, I think I got to pull behind the wall. I'm done.
You're giving it up?
She's like, you told me that you would miss the birth of our child to race. And you're sitting here telling me if you run over a squirrel, you're going to be done. I said, yeah.
Oh, boy.
I can't continue if I end a life.
I don't need to be there when life comes into this world, but if it leaves,
if I'm responsible for a death of an animal, besides a bird, a bird off the windshield, they don't have feelings. Squirrels have feelings.
Ty Dillon didn't even miss his pit sign.
No, still on the numbers. Ty, consummate professional, just an absolute killer. I've killed 100 of those in my day. Just another one added to the tally.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Pop, grab that thing.
Pay good money to go squirrel hunting. That one was for free.
We're going to take that with a taxidermy.
Oh, man. But, yeah, back to another segue. Guy that didn't hit his pit sign. Sounds like it was the 45. Let's see this. I want to see it from his
This
view.
is the money stop. 40-some odd to go. Comes in third. Oh, deep.
Oh,
no.
Deep. And then watch
Tyler.
the 6 car is going to come around him. The 6 car's going to do 2 tires, so he's going to stop short and angle in.
You just can't.
I think it's in between gears. Damn it.
I think the 45 could have been in contention to win there.
Absolutely, the 45 could have been in contention to win.
Man, it was 2 feet. If he doesn't slide through his sign, we've seen the last 2 weeks, or we saw the 11 at Charlotte take himself out of contention by driving through the sign, getting that fuel hiccup.
Biggest pit stalls on the circuit. Here's the problem. At Michigan, you are hauling ass pit road speed. It's 55
fast.
miles an hour. You're doing 60 miles an hour. The first, during car check, when we stand there and we jump off the wall to kind of see where a car is, when the cars run pit road before the race, our guys, we have a lot of young guys on our team, are like, holy shit, is that pit road speed? And I did the old Ricky Bobby. Are those the other cars? What is that? But
when I rolled in the truck race, I was like, am I in the right gear? I feel like I'm going 100 miles an hour.
It's fast. It's fast. But you inherently try to get the most overused word in racing anymore is execute. Everything. Got to execute. We're just executing.
Mm-hmm.
But what does execution look like? Sometimes it looks like not trying to go on the last pit stop. It's not overstepping it. On the last pit stop, I would have this problem with Ryan Blaney a lot. It was like he inherently would try to get a little more getting in the pit box at the end of the race. And it would hurt us on our last pit stop because he'd blow through the sign and it would cost him time. We saw it with Denny Hamlin at Charlotte, cost him with his fuel man. We see it here with the 45. You just try to get a little bit too much. And what you gained, the 0.2 of a second, or even a half a second,
or you give back 10 spots.
You give up everything just by stepping over a little bit too much. And that last pit stall is probably a little dirty down there. We can make excuses all day long, but the fact is this: the 6 cars coming. You're talking to their team. They're doing 2. The 71's gonna be in front of him, so he's gonna stop short to try to help himself.
Right.
You got to stop back bumper on the line.
Yeah.
Stop it back as far as you can. Make it uncomfortable just so you know that you give yourself a chance to get out of the pit box. You cannot leave it in the fate of the guy in front of you. That leads us to our dog of the week.
Hey.
We've been talking, I'm telling you guys, this is the summer of gas. It's all about fuel mileage. And when we watch the 11 team, we're going to have Dylan Dowell come join us here in a minute.
You'll be going on Pennies, 4 tires. 3, 2, 1. We'll straight foot on the brake.
Here's the 11 car audio.
Remember, you're waiting on fuel here going on Pennies.
So they said they're going on Kenneth. If Kenneth Parcells the gas man. He never nods.
All the way out.
He never nodded at all.
Yeah.
FYI, man, that was really close to getting a penalty. The fuel can almost went out of the box. I know Kenneth was not ready, or he was not shaking his head that I saw. Copy, yeah, that's on me.
Drivers are trained.
So I wonder.
And then it looks like he just kind of left on his own. So the big question mark for the 11 is where this fuel can's up. Look at this guy right
There's
here.
our dog of the week.
Defense. The other pit crew member stops the can from sliding.
Steve, that's not just some guy. That's Dylan Dowell.
As the car goes up. Look,
Tell
right,
us
this
about
is
it.
not the gas man right here. The gas man's already dropped it. This is the front tire changer or carrier, and he's going to play a little defense.
So Dylan Dowell's one of the best tire carriers, maybe the best tire carrier in the sport. He's going to join us here for Boats and Woes Dog of the Week, live in studio on Riverside. But Dylan is a guy, he's won championships. He's super aware. He's won a ton of races, and he's on the best pit crew in the sport. And, you know, one thing that I want to understand from him when he comes in is, so Chris Gale says, hey, we're leaving on Kenneth.
Yeah.
Is Denny looking in his mirror?
Spot mirror.
So that's crazy to me because he said his feet weren't ready. So you get the can plugged in, and you see it a lot where if we saw it last week with the 22, Nick Hensley wasn't ready for that car to leave.
Right.
It's a 100-pound can, and you got to think they're not just standing there putting fuel in it. They're counting. They're watching for air bubbles. It's a pretty precise job.
Yeah.
So they plug in 1,000, 2, 1,000. They're counting. They're watching the guys around them. They're making sure they got plugged in to get the right amount of fuel. There's nothing, you know, we say, hey, we need 13 gallons here. We need 15 gallons here. You just think you don't just put 15 gallons in the car. You have nothing to measure. It's old school. You know how much is in the can.
Yep.
You know what your flow time is. You know when you're plugged in. And that's what makes the great guys great. And the guys, you know, that aren't on great cars for a reason. Kenneth Parcells won. I don't even know how many championships Kenneth Parcells won. He was jackman for Jimmy Johnson. He's been with the 11. He's been at Gibbs a while. So he's one of the most decorated guys on pit road. And we keep seeing these problems pop up. And our man right here, Dylan Dowell, absolute stud. Thanks for joining us. Hey, you're our first ever Dog of the Week that's joining us live in studio, buddy. How old are you now, Dylan?
Nice. Oh, my God. You don't tell when you're a pit crew athlete.
Yes. A mid-30-year-old from Fowler, Kansas, in the foam dome there. Where are you at?
This is the Church of Horsepower.
Hey.
What are you building?
Sitting in.
Look at that blower on that thing, dude.
Just bury the lead. You've got a what's that, like a 32 coupe or something?
Yeah, it's a 32 Plymouth.
Damn, you nailed that?
Holy cow. I kind of know what the early 30 stuff looked like, but are you going to drag? Are you going to ride around Mooresville? What are you going to do with that thing?
Oh, yeah, it's a street car.
Just a daily driver, Corey.
Yeah, with a freaking
back and forth.
With a Ron Capps Whipple charger on top of that unit.
Hey, listen, these aren't some soft drivers. This is the damn Dog of the Week right here. That's what he drives to work on a Tuesday. Okay?
Oh, I know. All these drivers anymore are driving cyber trucks. All these little things you got to plug into the wall. I ain't plug that. The only thing plugging into that damn thing is 102 octane.
You're damn right.
That's right.
Dylan, I thought it was important to get you on here because, man, I think that one, the world needs to know who Dylan Dowell is. I think. Personally, you're probably the best tire carrier on pit road. You've won championships. You've won races. But we go to the broadcast, and Steve Letarte says, man, I don't know that pit crew guy there. I don't know if he's the carrier or the changer, but he did a good job. So I want to give you your credit and just say best tire carrier on pit road, champion of the sport, probably on the best pit crew, but your awareness level was 100 yesterday. We were just listening to the pre-pit stop talk that Chris Gale was saying, hey, we're waiting on Kenneth here. So the question I had for you was it was apparent that Kenneth wasn't ready for the car to leave. He did not shake his head. His feet weren't set. Does Denny watch him in his spot mirror, or how does that go?
Yeah, I mean, as things are progressing and things are getting so much faster, and the racing is so close on pit road or on the track, I think we're trying to get as much fuel in as we can and Denny's watching his mirror. He's listening for Gale. We're trying to do all of these things to make sure we get enough fuel in the car. It just doesn't always work out that way.
And you guys are making it so challenging on him because you are the fastest pit crew, I think, of the year, no doubt. And when you look at your pit stop times, and we go back to Charlotte, your guys' speed, when I look at it, is left side. It's everywhere, but you are substantially better than everybody else. Left side up to left side down. So from the time that you guys jack the left side of the car up to the wheels are on to the time you drop it, that just means that second can flow time is so much shorter than anybody else. So Ken is having to do so much more. But your awareness on that, is that something that you guys with Holland talk about being ready for that can to get drug or being ready for situations like that?
Yeah, I'll give Holland credit. That's a Holland play.
Who's Holland for the listeners?
Yeah, Brian Holland, the pit coach at JGR.
Okay.
So typically when we're just doing just a gas only, I'll go and stand in front of the box and wait.
Get ready to catch it?
I knew that, yes. And I knew that we were going to be waiting on fuel after this stop. So I just set up, and as it started coming towards me, I was like, oh, it's happening.
It's my time.
I was made for this moment.
Oh, man.
Is it like what the amount of force that thing's coming at you? Because this still probably has several gallons left in it. It probably weighs, 50, 60 pounds. Is it like catching a toddler off of like a second-story balcony? Like, what's that thing coming to you trying to catch it?
Yeah. It's very similar to that. I have experienced catching toddlers off of second stories. I have 3.
He's got 3 boys as well.
Hey, shout out.
Yeah, it's heavy. I mean, it's coming with momentum. But I made the commitment when we began talking about catching the fuel can. It's like sacrifice everything, and stop it.
Yeah, worry about what hurts later. Make sure that gas can doesn't leave and you don't get a penalty, and then worry about the bumps and bruises later. This 11 team, shifting gears to your team, this 11 team, we had Joel in here a couple weeks ago, but you guys have been so great. You've had Austin join your team last minute to start the year, and he's filled in and been great, your front changer. What is making this 11 team so special right now?
We work a lot on culture at not just the 11, but at JGR in general. So it's kind of one of those things where it's, instead of having just individuals on the pit crew, we treat it as an organism. We succeed together, we fail together. And we're always picking each other up. There's never a time where somebody makes a mistake that the rest of them don't feel it as if they made the mistake themselves. And I think that plays a big part in it, especially adding Austin in. And he understood what the culture of the 11 was. It allowed him to grow fast as an athlete because he didn't have guys breathing down his neck saying, oh, well, you're not getting the job done. We don't want you here,
Yeah, when you build a strong culture, it's easy to plug new guys in because your foundation is built, right? It's like building a foundation on a rock. You either have your foundation on the rock and you can plug guys in or out, or it teeter-totters on each personality. So that's a big point.
Dylan, we don't get a chance to talk to many dogs on the show. I would love to do it a bit more. Everybody knows kind of everybody's backstory when it comes to drivers because those are the guys that are out front leading the charge, waving the flags for their team. Give the listeners a bit of a short Cliff Notes version of how you found yourself as one of the best tire carriers on pit road in NASCAR.
Okay, the short version is I used to fix tractor tires in Southwest Kansas, manually taking them off the tractor and repairing holes made by deer sheds or stuff like that out in the field.
So you've been a
realized
tire
that
carrier from the jump tractor tires. Now you just do cup tires.
I have.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's in my blood. I'm actually the third generation of that tire business. So, but I kind of decided that I need to go and see what life had for me. So I just packed my truck, threw my dog in there, and I drove to North Carolina. I didn't have a place to live. I didn't have a job, anything of that nature. I went to pit instruction and training, cut my teeth there. I was hired by Penske Racing within 6 months. I spent, 10 years or something like that over there. I pitted for Joey. We won that championship in 18. And then I found myself looking for a new opportunity, ended up at Joe Gibbs Racing, and, never looked back.
What year is this over the wall for you, full-time cup racing?
15.
Hey.
Absolute stud. That Piggy pull the tape of when they won the championship in 18 and Dylan was doing a backflip in the pit stall after the race.
Hey.
Man, I really appreciate
you can do standing backflips?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it's crazy, man, that I didn't even know that. We worked together for a long time at Penske. I didn't even know that you came from, carrying tires on tractors to saying, hey, this NASCAR deal,
these tires are way lighter.
And it looks like it pays a whole lot better.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that.
Yeah, you're not covered in horsemanship.
Yeah, it actually made my life easier.
Well, Dylan, we appreciate you coming on, man. I'm so excited for you and the 11 team. You guys have been kicking ass and taking names this year, and I'm just happy that you're able to get the credit you deserve. We hope to have you on many more times to come.
Hey,
thank you guys so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Dog of the week,
Keep
Dylan
it up.
Dowell.
Oh, man, that was good stuff. Talking to Dylan Dowell. What should we call this? Like dog talk?
Just dogs of the week. I want the fans, if we could get the fans to just notice who 5 of these guys are. So when they watch the broadcast, they go, oh, I know him.
Yeah.
He used to carry tires on tractors in Kansas, right? And when you start to realize what Dylan Dowell looks like in a fire seat, when you watch the carry of the 11, you'll be able to point him out and know exactly who he is. Same thing like a couple weeks ago, we had Joel and Hicks and Braxton on here.
Now
if you can know these guys and see who they are, you could start seeing how many races they win and how much they've done in the sport. It deserves to be celebrated, buddy.
Mm-hmm. These Penny for Your Thoughts questions this week ought to be celebrated as well. First one up, what do we got?
Who do we have here? Ryan Schick 13. After that close call on the trucks, if you had to pick one track to win at, what would it be?
I'm not picky.
The next one.
The next one, we're going Richmond's the next one.
Ooh, that'd be a good one.
We have not run well in the Cup car there, but I think a lot of that has to do with the horse you're riding on. I ran well a couple different Xfinity or Cup ARCA races back in the day. So hopefully we can beat contention there.
If you did have to pick one track to win at, that what would it be?
Darlington, or I'd love to get another clock at Martinsville. Would be cool.
Daytona.
We are not going to Daytona. We're going to
Talladega.
Talladega.
Pick one track.
No, because I don't want people to be like, oh, yeah, cool, Super Speedway win. Yeah, great job. Still suck. They're going to say that anyways. So
not that he reads the comments.
Richmond. Oh, I read them all. I do. And I really have to restrain myself before I rifle up. I've made it a rule that if you have an anonymous name or an anonymous picture, you're getting blocked if you talk shit.
Oh,
if you want
people?
to have if you want to be a man and put your face and your name on there and talk some smack, that's free game. And then I'll give you a response. But if you're not man enough to even put anything remotely close of what your name, image, or likeness is on your page, then you ought to just continue to play video games in your mom's basement.
Yes. Next one from Tyler C. Turner 5.
He's the GOAT.
For Skip and Corey, what's your favorite music artist, go-to group, or genre?
Oh, man, I've been on Red Clay Strays lately.
I've been on Red Clay Strays.
God, Red Clay Strays radio on Spotify is dialed.
It's good. I really like
Zach Top.
I like Whiskey Myers, and the one guy that's kind of, I think a lot of people know but don't really know yet is Dylan Gossett. I'm sure you've heard him on Red Clay Strays radio. We've been kind of on the same thing then.
Yeah, I've been hammering that because it's lower pace music, but it's not like Tyler Childers where you feel depressed after you listen to it.
Yeah.
It's just like a nice little balance.
And I was really into Zach Bryan, but then he kind of turned out to be a shithead.
Yeah. They'll sprinkle one of two songs in a nice.
I like Zach Bryan a lot, but yeah, he kind of turned out to be a nerd. Yeah. But sometimes, buddy, I just turn on Big Booty Mix 25 too in the gym. You know, sometimes I go all over the place. Biggie Smalls, I'm a little bit of everything.
Yeah, we work out to Big X the Plug's been a big one lately.
The biggest,
the largest.
Over from Texas.
Mm-hmm. So that's been my workout jam is Big X the Plug.
You know what I turn on for the kids?
I like
in the
Forrest
car?
Frank too. Forrest Frank's like a Christian rapper. Been on Forrest Frank too. KB, Lecrae.
Yeah, you have your kids listen to Christian music, and then when I have the kids in the car, I just turn on Pantera, Walk, and it gets rowdy, and crew loves it. Play the loud song, Dad. So, I love
my
it.
My kids like Thunderstruck.
Oh,
AC/DC, because it's like Iron Man.
Oh, yeah.
Say like that. Thunder. They're in the backseat. The fish. Thunder.
Oh, I love it.
So, yeah, that's what we listen to.
Couple shout-outs this weekend. Brendan Queen, Steve-O.
Brendan Butterbean, Michael Lightning
Edward
shout
McQueen.
out for him. Oh man, his haircut's dialed.
He beat Corey Haim. That was a great finish.
Was there anybody else in that race? I didn't even see. Oh, I met somebody that's pretty cool.
I'll tell you what chaps my ass.
What?
Phil Parsons.
What about him?
Keep saying that.
Andy
J is the winningest indoor driver of all time. Guess what? 2 more wins you would be, but you're not right now because old boy right here's got you beat.
So I met this guy. He in the DO lot. You know the guy.
Let me see.
Brayton Laster.
Oh, yeah.
Pizza guy.
Yeah.
The guy with 400 bumper stickers on his car. He even put his cell phone on there. So after the race, right? I think Stag and Pennies Performance is going to sponsor him.
Okay.
I really appreciate what those guys are doing. I really do. Now, I think I would have to make a couple stipulations. Like, we got to clean your bumper sticker package up. I get giving love to your sponsors. But if I'm going to come in there and be your JD Stacy, we got to make our stuff look
try
good.
To change the man.
I'm not trying to.
He's gotten to the point of having
trying to help him.
He's gotten to the point of having his business card on the in the guy's wallet who's on the Amazon broadcast, and you want to change him now.
That's true. So I put it in here. I was like, I like what you're doing. He's just one of those guys that's like super freaking excited to just go. He blew up his primary blew up
in practice. That Higgy just put up,
and he had to wheel out his Berlin backup car. They put a gear in it, like Kansas gear. It was off. He was out there riding around, loving life. Ain't nobody more excited to make laps around Michigan than Brayton Laster. So,
just part of the show, buddy.
Shout out him, Penny Stackers of the week. Corey from Michigan.
Nice.
I asked him if he spelled his name right. He goes, I don't think you spell your name right.
Oh.
I said, I appreciate it.
What's he spell? Like Kory?
No, Cory. His mom didn't buy a vowel.
Well.
So shout out him. There's a lot of people. Hey man, love this podcast. So hey, appreciate all you guys for listening to us every week.
Somebody that loves the broadcast is Fitzpatrick, dude. Fitzmagic. He says he's looking for some Cup drivers to follow, but he also, I just saw, he might be in Pocono.
I would love for him to join our post-race show.
Oh yeah.
I feel like for the last one in Pocono, so we're going to be in the fan zone, kind of like we were at Charlotte, but we're going to be like where the campers are. So there's going to be just like college game day vibes again.
So he says that his kid is liking Blaney because he won.
Probably the first race he ever watched.
He likes Ross.
Yep.
He likes Ross. But hey, guys, tweet Fitzmagic here and tell him who you think he should be pulling for.
So I'll recommend a couple. I still think every time I mention Chris Buescher's name, he's the most underrated guy in the garage, and for whatever reason, he will continue to be that because he is elite. He is an elite talent. Always runs well, uber consistent, doesn't make dumb moves on the racetrack, and he gets the most out of that 17 Ford Mustang every week, and has a solid beard.
Yep, he's just
He would be like the
boy.
Fitzmagic of the Cup Garage right now.
He's a little bit more dry than Fitzmagic, I'd say.
That's true.
I'd say if there's someone that's like a Fitzmagic, it'd be like a
Noah.
It's kind of like funny. Noah's in our truck yesterday.
Yeah, but like Ryan Fitzpatrick went to Harvard.
Yes, it's way different.
Noah did
not go to Harvard. No. I'd
be surprised if Noah finished high school, to be honest with you. There's like a 50-50 chance that's true.
Hey.
You can fact check that for me. We'll have to ask Noah. We need to get him on in here one of these days. I think the fans would like that.
They would.
We could ask him that question ourselves. What else we got?
Oh, not much. Anything? A couple more shout-outs.
Zane, we got to give Zane, your
hey,
boy.
You
pitting him up inside the top 10, bud.
Hey,
he's been running strong.
Wasn't by accident. I've been telling everybody. It's been fun to just be part of that team and try to help. And those guys, Ryan Briganti, Will Norris, Car Chief, that whole team, they're a bunch of racers. And like I said, you don't realize how hard it is when you're not a OEM back team, when you're not a key partner team, how much harder those guys have to work. And how much just kind of, when you've been at Penske proper for a decade like I have, you forget that people don't have the resources like you have and the people. And like especially this past week, the getting car ready for Michigan, getting your stuff ready for Mexico, having to have all your T's crossed and I's dotted because you can't bring anything wrong into Mexico. Like all those trucks yesterday had to be sealed by customs before they even left Michigan to go to Laredo.
So you couldn't bring water. You couldn't bring an ounce of food in your fridge. Nothing could go.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So it's like that type of week. People don't see how hard that week was just to get everything ready and prepared and prepare 2 cars. So to have the speed they did, qualify 10th, run 7th, and really just have a opportunity to run top 5. That's where I think once we clean up a couple things on just the overall execution of the day, we can run top 10 a lot more often and maybe make a bid to gain some points and make a run that making the backside of the playoffs depending on how many cars win, or just win a damn race.
Yeah, you're not going to point your way in as deep as you guys are. I love the hope. It's not going to happen because I think you have to look up. I think Chase Briscoe should be worried. I mean, what's he? Second or third in points of guys that aren't locked in.
It's still big gaps though. It's only like 22. We're 22nd and the 20th. It's only like 20 points. Probably gonna get another winner.
You need to be about 11th.
But
if you haven't won.
But if there's ever a time to make points up, it's gonna get jumbled through these road courses.
Big time.
Pocono, Atlanta.
Yep.
It's gonna be a big mess here these next couple weeks, and it's gonna start to get fun to talk about. What's gonna happen with the points?
All 3 RFK cars in the top 10 haven't done that since 2016. Ty Gibbs third, needed that little shot in the arm. Still didn't really seem very excited about that. He's like a little ho-hum, a little melancholy after the race.
Yeah, bubble wall.
Dude, for as bad as that team's been this year, they need to be popping champagne bottles.
It just seems like Ty is
not having fun.
He's been through a lot, right?
Yeah.
He's been through a lot, and it just seems like he's easily defeated.
Yeah.
And he needs to count these small wins and realize that, yes,
that's not a small. That's a fairly large win. Third place is not.
When you drive for Gibbs,
hard,
though, and you're watching your teammates win everything, it's probably challenging.
Yeah.
But you're not going to make a big incremental leap in 1 week. So, in the Cup Series, he looks like a typical kid that got a ride in the Cup Series and just gets beat down.
Yeah.
Right? He's in he came out really hot out of the gate, and now it's just like, oh, man. And SVG, speaking of getting beat down, he runs 18th this week. He's starting to get some forward progress, forward momentum.
Yep. And then going down to Mexico this weekend, the only chance to save the 88's season is win in Michigan, win at Sonoma, or win at Watkins Glen or Chicago. Like he's got 4 really good opportunities. I believe Watkins Glen maybe in the playoffs.
Watkins is in the playoffs, but we have 3 of the next 4 weeks are road courses.
Yeah, dude. I'm pulling for my man from New Zealand.
A lot of nuances with this Mexico race, so join us for Spare Change this week. We're going to break down Mexico. There's a lot of stuff we need to touch on.
So we're going to land this bird today, but we're also going to land this bird in Mexico City. I'm going to go down on Wednesday, but appreciate you guys so much for your time each and every week, whether you're listening to us on SiriusXM Channel 90, Tubi, Spotify, YouTube. Go check out Stacking Pennies Performance YouTube page. You never know what's going to pop up on there as well. What else we got?
That's
Just
it.
Like, download, share, rate, review. And we'll keep stacking pennies with you every week. Y'all keep stacking pennies in your life. And we'll holler at you Thursday. Then you can tune in to Mexico on Prime. It's going to be huge. The culture is going to be amazing. I'm taking a food tour with a 5-star Michelin chef and Daniel Suarez all day Thursday. They're doing a little feature on for the pre-race. I'm excited about that. Track snacks in Espanol.
Dude, I'm telling you, the work putting in this Mexico race. And we'll break it down in spare change. But the stuff that NASCAR has done and the travel packets and stuff we've got, I'll pull back the curtain a little bit of what that all looks like. This Thursday, you don't want to miss it.
Mm-hmm. Y'all have a great day. Talk to you next week. Bye. All right, friends, it is with a heavy heart that I bring you this. I've talked about it numerous times. My favorite piece of NASCAR memorabilia is this picture. It's the picture of the 1979 Daytona 500 infamous fight between Bobby Allison, Donnie Allison, and Cale Yarborough. And I've gotten all three of these guys to sign it, as well as Jim Headland, the track worker here who's pulling Donnie away from Cale. This is a one-of-one. I love it. Met Jim. He was my grandfather's next-door neighbor in Florida, and he just passed away this past week. So I wanted to give Jim a shout-out, an ultimate dog to be involved in one of the most iconic scenes in NASCAR history. Obviously, we talk about the drivers in this picture, but, man, let's give Jim Headland some credit from keeping Donnie from whipping Cale's ass. But rest in peace, Jim. Thoughts and prayers with his family. And y'all have a great day.